Hey guys, good morning everybody. Happy Monday. Today is Monday, July 18th. It is 6:22 right now. Market's going to open in about 8 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and set up this room real quick and we can get started with our session for this morning. So just going to set up a few more things here. Looks good. Looks good. Some last minute touches. And I think we should be good to go. All right, solid. Looks good, guys. Let me get this link sent out to you guys here in the premium. All right. There we go. Link's been sent out. So we have a few minutes for people to make their way in. All right, solid. All right, cool. So I'll give it a few minutes for people to join. As people join, I'm going to go ahead and mark up the high lows over here real quick. Shouldn't take too long. Good. All right, solid. Let's go over to the 30-minute. As you guys can see, I turned my alerts back on. Reason for that's because there's that 10-minute strategy that I'm testing live. It doesn't necessarily be tested live or tested at all because I've already pretty much done a lot of back testing, but you guys will see like alerts come on. I'm starting to use the alerts again specifically for that strategy. It's basically just an intraday strategy, but it has a few more requirements added to it. So if you guys saw the problems from yesterday, that's the strategy that I apply. It's just pretty much a set and forget strategy applied on the 10-minute. It's literally the intraday strategy, but it's just a little more strict because it requires specific times to trade it and a couple more things to look for. So I got all the high lows here marked up. The next step with my testing is to improve the breakout. So that's the other strategy I showed you guys, or I'll just show you guys real quick. So it's 6:26 right now, guys. Good morning, happy Monday. It's July 18th, 6:26 right now. Market's gonna open in about 4 minutes. So if you guys are just joining the room, the reason I have my alerts set up over here for the 10-minute, there's no entry right here. But basically, I'm looking for these entries here where I took this one trade. It's basically a set and forget, set TP stop loss of 500 pip move. There was another entry that happened right here. I missed it because I was asleep. Obviously, this entry came up at 310. There is a low here, another low. This was a variation, or not a variation. This is engulfing. This is a variation right here. If you were to take the same strategy, 500 pips, both ways for the entry, you can see right here another 5,000 I could have locked in right there if I was awake at like 3 o'clock. Unfortunately, I was asleep, but there was another entry that came up right there. That's why I have the alert set up. There's another one setting up right here, but it doesn't fit the requirements. I'll be going over this during the mentoring session on Tuesday. We were supposed to have our mentoring session today, but one of the members requesting to have it on Tuesday because they can't attend today. So that's why we moved it back by 1 day. So let's see, morning Alexander, morning Stern, morning Kill. Morning, Kenny. Morning, David. Morning, Peter. Morning, Marlon. Morning, Patricia. Morning, Marco. Morning, Chris. Morning, Randy. Morning, Frazier. Morning, everybody. So hopefully everyone had a great weekend. We're back for market open right now. Market's going to open in about 2 minutes. So we'll see what happens when the market does open shortly. There is an intraday entry right here, but this doesn't fit the requirements of the strategy that I'm now applying with regard to the set and forget for 10 minutes. So this is not going to apply as an actual entry. We'll follow it, but it's not going to fit the requirements, so it's not going to be one of the trades that I'll take. The next strategy, as I mentioned, that I'm looking to improve a bit is going to be the breakout, so that we can take a breakout, improve the odds of that hitting every time we take it. I mean, realistically, if we take a breakout every day, we just need a 50% win rate, because eventually by the end of the week, the end of the month, you will be in profit, right? I think it already has above 50% win rate, even without the extra requirements, but I'm going to be testing this to figure out, what can we add to improve that. So we'll see. Market's going to open right now, guys. It is now open. Let's take a look at the overall bias real quick. So retail sentiment is currently 49% long. This is not going to be very useful to us because the market is, pretty much flat. We have about 40 seconds until market open right here. When this opens, we'll take a look at the fundamentals, which are currently right now bullish. It's up 274 points. So retail sentiment here is not too useful. It's just 50-50, so we're not going to be able to use this with regard to our bias. We're pretty much going to have to look at the fundamentals and the technicals here. Technicals right now are currently bullish. Reason for that's because trend meter down here is green and price is above the pivot. So when the market opens in the next 10 seconds, we're basically be looking for a strong green candle because we have a green momentum over here in order to take the breakout. So the market is now open, guys. Let's take a look at the fundamentals. I'm pretty sure they are bullish. Yep, they're up 187 points. Looking over here at CNBC, see if there's any updates here. Looks like all the indices are pretty much bullish. So that looks good. Hey, Shannon, morning. Morning, Jez. Morning, Maria. Morning, everybody. So here we go. We're looking for a strong green candle in order to take this breakout here. Let me turn on the sessions real quick. Just want to make sure we're not getting into any areas where price might reject from, of course. All right, so this might be the breakout right here, guys. So this is a breakout right here, and I kind of missed it. Sorry, I'm not in the position yet. My FTMO trader the tool is not set up properly. And I hate when I reset my computer, or not even reset it, when I turn it off, it gets all screwed up. So I'm not in this position yet, guys. I'm kind of late, so I gotta wait a little bit. I'm not in this position right here. If you guys are in it, it's kind of risky because this candle here is so big. I'm too late. I can't even enter it. I wish I entered it when it came back down. But you guys can see how crazy the market is moving right now. It's currently already up about 300 pips. Let me see if I could maybe get it for partial. It's gonna work though. Yeah, I missed the move here. Unfortunately, I was going to enter it when it opened, but unfortunately, I couldn't. This thing was just moving too fast. So I'm not in this position here, guys. If you guys are in the position, I'd probably move your stop loss and profit because the way that these candles are moving, they're moving a little too quickly. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not going to enter late. It's too late for me to enter. I'll just follow it. Unfortunately, I missed the move. It's just moving too volatile right now. This thing's moving pretty crazy. Is there some news today? Let me check real quick. There is. So there's NHB Housing Market Index at 7. That's about it. It's just this news right here, but you can see how volatile the market's moving right here. I'm not in this breakout right here. If you guys were in the position, hopefully you guys moved your stop loss and profit when I mentioned. I think this is just too crazy of a move to enter right now. I was tempted to enter here late, but I think I'm just gonna sit out because this thing's bouncing around so much right now. Let me go and just close this stuff off right here. So basically, as I mentioned earlier, I'm looking for hints over here or clues to identify, when a breakout will likely hit. So we had an entry right here. A couple of things that I would probably confirm is that there's a variation right here. So this is a reversal pattern indicating a price is going to push up. Also, again, right here, there is an engulfing pattern. So variation, engulfing, another variation right here. Let's see what else. And then another variation right there. So I was kind of tempted to enter this late, but I might just hold off. Yeah, I'm just gonna hold off. It just looks too risky to move these candles here are moving too crazy. I think it's gonna hit though because I'm looking over here at these previous, candles over here, and I see one thing that I noticed with a lot of these 1 minute entries. If you look back to the left, if you see like a variation in engulfing like previously, and there's like two lower lows right there, or there's two lows that don't overlap, it typically is going to work out. So maybe I'll take this for a partial move. Damn, I kind of regret not entering right there. But then again, you see how crazy this candle here is moving. I think the movement right now is too erratic. I'm worried that if I enter it, it's probably going to spike down, get my stop loss, and then go right back up to TP. But the movement right now is very blocky, and blocky as in it's not really a smooth move. Like I would say choppy, but this doesn't really look choppy. To me, it looks blocky because every second it's like a 10, 20 pip move right here. Yeah, these candles are pretty big. So I'm just gonna hold off. I'll follow it, but I'm gonna hold off on actually taking it. It just doesn't look like a good entry to me because of the movement right now. So I'm not in the position. If you guys are in the position, I do recommend probably pulling out in profit if and when you can, or if it does move back into profit, move your stop loss in profit. But I think a lot of you guys already pulled out in profit as of now. So I'm trying to look for clues here to identify. Maybe we can identify it better on the 10 minute. Yeah, so another thing here that I noticed, guys, is that say, for example, we get a buy entry here, right, for like the breakout. If you look at the low right here, if the low is a green candle, this will typically push up higher. So for example, right here, we have a green buy signal right here. And you see how the lower here is a green candle? You can see how far it pushed up from that point, right? Looking at this right here, it's a green buy signal, but the low is a red candle. So when this happens, it typically doesn't push up as strong. Looking at this right here, we have a red sell signal. And you can see the high right here is a red, right? So this is something that you guys can probably look at. When I started testing the other strategy, I started to see a lot of these clues on a 10 minute. Basically, you get a red signal, the high is red. It typically pushes down a pretty good amount, about 500 pips at least. Right there, that could have been a move or something. And then same with this one right here, a green buy signal with a green candle. It's enough to catch at least 500 pips. Yeah, I mean, these little things that I start to notice when I do a back test, because typically when I put together a strategy, I start off with the momentum signal as a catalyst, and then from there I look at other hints to identify, when a trade might be pushing a direction. Like again, right here, a green buy signal, and then a low with a green candle. It pushes up at least 500 pips. So I think on the 10 minute, the good 1-to-1 ratio is going to be 500 pips. I don't know what it is on the 1 minute yet. I haven't really figured it out. But here we are back on the 1 minute. It's still pushing back up right here. So I'm kind of glad I didn't take the breakout because I'd probably be stressing out right here as it got close to this drop. Now it's back in profit, but I'm definitely glad that I'm not in the actual position right now. So yeah, we'll move along with the next entry. So for the next entry here, The same pattern that I showed you guys here is my working strategy to improve some entries here on the 1 minute. Not necessarily this here for the breakout, but looking over here for like the 1 minute entries, like say for example, and I'll keep following this. It's not one that I'm taking right now, but I'll keep following to show you guys. So here is one right here. So I'm just going to show you an example. These are things that you guys can confirm when taking like a variation, or not really a variation, but more like an intraday entry or a pivot scalp. That will help your increase your probability of winning. So looking at this right here, this is a pivot scalp entry, and it's also an intraday entry. The reason for that is because we have a green buy signal with the trend meter down here green, right? If you look back at the previous lows, you just want to make sure that the lows don't overlap. So this one right here, you can see it's actually V1. It's a double body rejection. And then right here is an engulfing pattern. So typically you're looking back to the two most recent lows. And if you have one engulfing and one variation, or two variations, even better, typically this will push up and hit your TP. So like right here, and this is what I'm looking for. So I'm going to be looking for this when I look for entries here on the 1 minute. So here's the 1 minute entry, 100 pips, you let it run. And there you go, full TP. And I think there's another one right here. So there's one right there, full TP. And this is just so you guys have a heads up for which entries I'm actually looking to take, because you guys know that I usually pick the good entries. This is something that I didn't realize I really looked at, but it's one of the things that I identify when taking a trade. So again, right here, another pivot scalp entry and an intraday entry on the 1 minute. Same thing, 100 pips. You look back at the previous lows right here, you make sure that it overlap. This one right here is a V1, and then this one's lower. This one's also a V1 as well. Double body, double body. You let that run, full TP again right there. So two back-to-back full TPs. This is how you guys can increase your win rate on the 1 minute. I know a lot of you guys are, like whenever we have a mentoring session, you guys ask me, how do I identify the winners? Or how do you know if it's risky or not? That's one of the patterns that I look for. I didn't really realize that I looked for it, but now that I've actually broken it down, that's one of the patterns to help you guys identify things. Not for the breakout here. I'm still looking to figure out what will help identify a winner for the breakout. I'm not in this position right here. We're just following it. But that's one for the intraday and pivot scalp entries. So as I continue to test things, I'll try to figure out things to point out so that you guys can identify them as well. Because I know it's hard for you guys to really picture things or visualize things without something to actually look for. For me, I don't really have to visualize anything because I can just look at the trade and I can identify if it's risky or not. Like for example, right here, I thought this one was risky just from the outbreak from the breakout because of how it's already been moving. As you can see right here, this candle's too big. This already fits the red flag over here. For the candle being too large, or there's a couple things here that didn't fit the requirements, right? So looking for the overall bias, I always use an overall bias. There's no overall bias right now, right? Because there's no retail sentiment. So for me personally, that's one of the main reasons I wouldn't have taken this trade. Another reason why I wouldn't have taken it was because there is, this candle's too big, right? Candle's too large. So a couple of red flags here with regard to this entry, why I wouldn't think it'd be a quality entry. No retail sentiment, and the candle prior to entry is too large. This one right here, this candle is pretty huge. It is 480 pips. So if you look over here, price pretty much retraced the entire candle, and then now it's pushing back up. So there's still a chance for it to push up and hit TP, but for the most part, it's too many red flags here. With regard to this, I don't know if there was any news this morning aside from 7 o'clock news. No, there isn't. So next news coming up is going to be right here at 7 o'clock. And as I figure out more things to warn you guys, or basically give you guys hints to identify better trades, I'll let you guys know. We're going to save a lot of the stuff for the mentoring session though, so that I can go over this stuff in detail. and show you guys more examples. CERN mentioned MT4 is lagging. There goes another red flag there. If you guys have traded before and you guys have noticed it when MT4 lags, or if MT4 is lagging or trading view, typically you're going to get caught in some slippage, right? So I'm not in this position right here. It's still pushing up right here. It looks like it might hit TP. It looks like swing back up. I'm not going to enter it late because it's already way too late into the entry. This trade's been running for about 15 minutes now. It's a really long breakout. Every time it comes back to entry, I get tempted to enter it, but I'm not going to. We'll just continue to follow. There's no other entries here though. So we have an intraday entry coming up right here. It's a green momentum signal with green trend meter, also a pivot scalp. However, looking back at the previous lows here, these overlap. So this is lower than this one. So it's not going to fit the requirements that I showed you earlier. Typically, you want them to not overlap, something like this. You have a low, and then the next low is lower than it. This right here overlaps because this one's higher than this low. So it wouldn't fit the requirements for that entry that I was showing you guys earlier. It's just the pivot scalp entry or intraday, and you're just looking for that extra confirmation. But this breakout here is still running. It's actually a V3 here, if you guys notice that. Maddie said V2 full TP. I don't see the V2 right here, Maddie. I'm not sure. I know there's a V3 right here. This would have been a full TP. So right here, there was a V3. There was a low with a red candle. It was followed by a green candle. So the thing with these V3s here, guys, I think we can probably apply this for a fixed TP stop loss of 300 pips. So I was, whenever I do some testing, I try to look back at other strategies too. I know this one, it's kind of difficult to set a TP because of the, it moves too fast in the 1 minute. But if you set it to a fixed TP stop loss of 300 pips, typically it does hit. So you can see right there, this would have hit full TP. Yeah. Yeah, Alexander saw the V3, but stop loss was not 30. So this is something I might have to test, or if you guys want to test it yourself, try taking a V3, but setting a fixed TP stop loss of 300 pips, because you can see right here it hit TP. As I continue to test these strategies, I'm going to refer back to these variations and stuff, and we'll probably see something good. But I think the V3s are probably going to be the most accurate out of the variations. And that's probably the main one that we can use for a fixed TP stop loss. The V1s move too quickly, or they're not a very big push. So it's going to be hard for us, like for example, right here, or this isn't one. For example, like this right here, right? If you're to take a V3 or a V1 right here for a sell, it's not enough to push for a whole 300 pips. There might be a way to do it. Maybe 150 pips. That looks like that might be the range. But for the V3s, I think 300 pips could be the, and we'll just have to change up the requirements. So I don't think this will probably not require the 300 pip minimum, because you're just going to have a fixed TP stop loss now. It's probably going to have a maximum instead of a minimum. But more of that in the future once we test it out some more. So I'm pretty surprised this breakout is still running. Breakout's now running for about 18 minutes now. Usually this breakout will hit TP or stop loss right away. So I'm kind of glad I'm not in the position, because it, I mean, I'd have been stuck in this position for a while now. B said MT4 is getting frozen. So I'm not sure if you guys are having the same issues. I'm not really looking at it too much, but I do see some lagginess from MT4, also on TradingView a little bit. So just a reminder, guys, I'm not in this position right here. We're just following it. This was the breakout, but it's been running for too long. Typically, the breakout hits within the first couple of minutes. This one's been going back and forth for a long time now. It's like another V3 might be setting up here. see. Yeah, it looks like another V3 could be setting up right here. Yeah, Maddie said I want a drop and a high-low reversal to the upside. Yeah, no, definitely. I think that'd be pretty solid if it does happen. So another possible V3 here. It's kind of close. Yeah, it's too close. Typically for this V3 here, if I'm taking something like this, I usually want like 2 different variations before it, just like what I was showing you guys before for the other example for the intraday entry. So that's typically what I would be looking for. Like there's only one here, or I mean, there's only one here because this previous one doesn't really apply. It's not the actual, it overlaps. So yeah, like Akil said, it's too risky. And I agree too. Tony said the price in the range may be better to wait for it to break. Marie said it's testing opening price. So I'm not in any of these positions right here. I'm just marking stuff up to show you guys. If I change my mind and it looks like something I might want to take, I'll let you guys know, but I'm not taking it yet. Maybe if it swings back up, I'll hop in. But we mark up opening price right here. Oh, wrong tool. All right, so opening price is right here. Yeah, this is too risky. I'm like tempted to enter, but it just looks kind of messy from where it currently is. Trying my hardest not to FOMO into this trade. I'm gonna wait. So clean this up a little bit. I'm not in this position, guys. I'm just marking it up to show you guys. So the breakout finally came down. So for any V3s here, typically if I'm looking for a V3, I'm looking back to the previous 2 entries, and I'm looking for. So I'm glad that we didn't take this trade here because look what happened. It went straight to stop loss. I'm looking for the same thing that I look for on the intraday, but I typically apply that strategy only on the intraday. So if I see an intraday entry, if you guys are just joining the room, so right here, we have an intraday entry. I'm just going to show you guys kind of what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the previous 2 lows. So we have one right here, and then we have another one right here, right? On these 2 right here, I'm looking for either 2 variations or one engulfing and 1 variation. So right here, we have 1 variation. It's a double body. And then down here, I'm looking for either a variation or an engulfing pattern. So right here, there's 2 variations, to V1 and a V1. And if I see something like this, this is the type of pattern that I'm looking for to enter a trade. So if I see something like that, then I would take it. And then I would let it run, right? Full TP. For this one over here that just passed, the lows are overlapping, or they were overlapping. So like looking at this right here, this was the V1 that I just had drawn up. Typically you want 2 lows that are not overlapping. You want this one to be low and you want another low right here, but this low is actually higher. So for this right here, I'm not necessarily looking to take it because it just looks like price is ranging. When price is low and there's another low prior to that, this will typically indicate that price is trending, right? It's not ranging. So that's why I wouldn't have taken that one right there, because they would need to be 2 lows following each other. Let's see if there's anything else over here real quick. So still nothing at the moment. Yeah, Tony said the PA. Also, the PA is on the pivots. I don't like trades on the pivots. Are such a mess. Yeah, and I agree too, Tony. Same here. There's nothing to take right now. Even if we were to get an intraday entry right here, meaning green buy signal with the trend meter green right here, it wouldn't meet that requirement where we have two lows. And this is very similar to what I'm applying here on the 10-minute. So the strategy that I was showing you guys over here, let me check my requirements real quick to see if you're just, so for the 10-minute, it's actually a lot easier. You're not really looking for any patterns here. You're just looking for them to overlap. I mean, for them not to overlap. So like basically here on the 10-minute, this is the strategy that I was applying for the fixed 500 pips. You just want to make sure that the lows don't overlap. So you're looking for two lows. This one is higher than this one. Not necessarily looking for a pattern. You let it run and pull TP right there. And then this is the trade that I took last night. It's pretty much the same thing. And I'll go over this more in detail when we have our mentoring session, but just, a little quick preview of the strategy here. It's not very difficult. You're looking for an intraday entry, green and green. You're looking for the lows not to overlap. It's two consecutive lows. You let that run and pull TP. That's a trade that I took yesterday right here, which I locked in 5,260. The other account, same thing, 4,960. This right, 5,060, 4,960, then another one, 5,060 as well. So, and here's some profits right here that you guys sent in. So Jamie over here, nice work, Jamie, locked in a total profit of 279. Looks like she took a partial move for that breakout earlier. So great work right there, Jamie. Looking over here, Patricia also took a partial move for the breakout. She locked in a total profit of 2,065. Nice work, Patricia. Nice, yeah, smart move. Patricia said done for the day all. So yeah, the market's moving kind of funky. So Patricia's done for the day. She locked in 2,000. Nice work. Jay over here as well took the sells on the way back down, locked me a total profit of 1,695. Great work, Jay. All right, solid. So another thing with the breakout, guys, is I'm looking for a pattern where we can take the opposite. So let me show you guys again right here. So if you guys remember from the example that I showed you earlier, let me just go to that breakout again. The breakout was right here. So I've really been drilling down on trying to improve the strategies that we already have. A lot of these strategies are already good, but there's ways to take them in opposite directions. So like, for example, right here, I think I mentioned to you guys, like right here, for example, if you go on the 10-minute, right, in order for me to take this buy right here, I want this low to be a green candle, right? But this candle right here is opposite and it's red. Instead of taking a buy, I would typically take a sell in the opposite direction. So if I was to do that, this actually would have hit TP. So instead of taking a buy here, I would have taken a sell instead. And there's always going to be different ways to apply this, but I'm starting to see these patterns a lot more. It's a little intricacies. So right here, instead of taking the buy, I would have taken the sell and it would have hit TP. So that's going to do with some testing. If you guys are kind of curious to like how I identified that, basically whenever I have an entry here on the 1 minute, I'll go on the 10 and I'll look at the previous low. So like say for example here, let me just show you guys again how I would identify that. Right here, I'll do this on the other chart. So we don't mess with the 1 minute over here. So looking over here at the 10, basically if I have an entry on the 1, and say I have a buy signal right here, right? So say we have an entry for a buy here on the 1. I look back to the previous low. It's a buy signal. The low right here is a green candle. This doesn't always work, but I'm just showing you guys like for certain entries, something that I'm looking at for the breakout. For this right here, we have a buy signal, or say we have a buy for the 1 minute. We have a low here with the green candle, and we're to let this run for 500 pips or so. It's a fixed TP stop loss for the breakout. Typically would hit. And this works for certain strategies. Not all of them, but for certain strategies. Again, right here, same thing, sell signal. The high here is a red candle. They match. And I'll have to play around with the breakout to figure out, what strategies does this reversal pattern or continuation pattern work well with. And it works again right there. So I'm working on a lot of things, guys. So just, keep that in mind. I think the next couple mentoring sessions, or like the mentoring sessions in the next couple months, there's going to be a lot of improvements where a lot of these things that I see in the market, I'll be able to kind of give you guys a deeper insight and like show you guys how to identify them. Because the thing with me is I don't really put requirements to these things that I'm looking for. But now that I'm trying to teach you guys, I'm looking for ways to explain to you. Because a lot of this price action stuff is just stuff that I see by looking at the charts. I don't necessarily put requirements to it. It's I don't know, it's just hard to explain, like, because I don't necessarily look for these things in the market, but for you guys to learn it, I have to show you guys what to look for specifically. Kodi, the new strategy is we're gonna go over that in the mentoring session. So I didn't go over the strategy yet today. I mean, I went over it lightly, but not necessarily in detail. I'm just gonna save for the mentoring session so we can just focus on it. I don't have to go back between looking for entries and going over the actual strategy. But it's basically just an intraday strategy with another pattern. If you want to go back and review the video at the end, you can do that. But I think that's better to just save for the mentoring session, so I can go over a lot of examples with you guys. And I mean, the back test look pretty good. It looks pretty good so far. It looks like it's sitting above. Well, for June, it had a 76% win rate, 10 wins out of 13 trades. May, 66% win rate, 8 wins out of 12 trades. March, 64% win rate, 7 wins out of 11 trades. But I mean, there's probably gonna be things I can add to make it better. But it has a pretty solid win rate over the past couple months. I'll have to figure out a name for it too. Or we'll just incorporate it into the 10-minute or the 10-minute intraday. So back over here on the 1 minute, there's nothing for us to take right now still. Price is rejecting off the low right here. This is the news candle at 7. So I'll check the news real quick to identify if it was positive or negative. So the news right here at 7 o'clock was negative. All right, so news is negative, price dropped. Now it's correcting back up. It's retesting news price. Go back to the 10. So no entry off here off the 10. So what I'm looking for here on the 10 is I'm looking for an entry. But we're not going to have an actual entry for this one here for that strategy because we need to we need 2 lows that don't overlap. These have already overlapped right here. So even if we get a buy entry, a buy signal here, it's not going to be an entry. Update these high lows. Hey, Patrick. Yeah, definitely no problem. But yeah, Tony, back to your question. So that strategy is basically just the intraday strategy, but you're looking for a few more requirements. Let's see. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to put up the requirements right now. The market is kind of dead, so there's not really stuff to cover right now. 10-minute. I'm just going to call it K2 US30 10-minute strategy. So one 10 to 5 intraday. Actually, I already have the requirements over here. Let me just copy this real quick. Where's my message? All right, perfect. I'll have to retype this up, but I'll leave this up over here so that you guys know what I'm looking for on the 10-minute. Back to the one. Nothing here. Yeah, there's not really much going on. Like lately, you guys have noticed that there's not really much going on in the 1 minute. So we might just have to revert to the 10-minute over here or one of the other time frames. Because lately you guys have seen like during the live session, the 1 minute will go pretty flat for like, I mean, forever basically. Or it'll keep bouncing around. There isn't really many entries for us to take here. This same strategy right here for the 10-minute, there's another way of applying it here on the 1 minute as well. So if I see one here, I'll let you guys know. But for this one, it applies for both the pivot scalp and for the intraday. So let's see if I could find one here, maybe show you guys. Because this is basically what I'm going to be looking for on the 1 minute. Well, I mean, I basically showed you guys already over here. So on the 1 minute, I'm looking for either a pivot scalp entry where we have a buy signal that's above the pivots or a sell signal that's below the pivots, or I'm looking for an intraday entry, basically where the we have a green momentum signal with a trend meter that's green, or a red momentum signal with a trend meter that's red. This strategy is only applied during London session. I mean, not London session. It's only applied during New York session, so basically from 6:30 till 11. But for my back test, it has a pretty good win rate as well. I just need to figure out a way to get it to a 1-to-1. So I need to figure out the fixed TP stop loss. For this, I mean, we might be able to just apply it with the 15-15. Or it might be too far. Yeah, I think it might be too far to have it at that. It might have to be something closer. I'd like to have it at 100, but I don't think we'll be able to cover the spread. Because if we have it set to 100 each, it's pretty much going to be solid because it doesn't typically have very much drawdown. But yeah, just so you guys have a kind of heads up of like what I'm applying or what I'm looking for. From what I'm looking for here is I'm looking for a momentum signal in the direction of the trend meter or the pivots on the 1 minute. Natasha's asking, how do you add the 10-minute on MT4? I don't think you can. MT4 is not customizable like TradingView. So it skips from the 5 minute to the 15 minute, but there's no 10 minute on the MT4 Natasha. Not that I know of, unless you guys know how to fix it. Tody said that so Tody said that you might want to message him and he can help you out with it. So he can show you. I personally don't know how to do it. I don't use MT4 for any actual charting. I just use it to intern execute the trades. And one thing that you guys need to know is that if you guys are entering a trade on TradingView, your time frame doesn't have to be 10 minute on MT4, right? You guys know that, right? It's just for charting. If you enter a trade, whether MT4 is on the 1 minute, 1 hour, 15 minute, it's the same thing. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, Tody will write in the chat and he'll help you with it if you need help with that. So thanks, Tody, for helping with that. I don't personally know because I don't use MT4 for any actual charting. I just use it to intern exit my trades. Yeah, there's nothing here right now on the 1 minute. There's nothing on the 10 minute either. I have my alert set up, so if something does come up, I'll look for it. But looks like we have another dead Monday. There's a lot of volatility on open, but now it's just dead, seems like. Yeah, no problem, Sasha. Yeah, Natasha said, okay, I thought you had to be on the 10 minutes in or the trade. No, so you just, I mean, I just have my MT4 always set at the 1 minute. I don't necessarily look at it for anything. I just hit buy or sell to enter the trade, but all my charting is done on TradingView. So the 1 minute now is in a clear range, as you guys can see right here. So price is literally just ranging the 1 minute. It's ranging around news price. Let's see, Patrick said using this new wrinkle with looking back at two previous high lows, you can actually let the trade run a bit to the next liquidity or so because we're catching more trends. Just quickly back tested. Nice, Patrick. So that's good to know. So basically, with what Patrick just mentioned, you pretty much let this trade run. It seems like. Let me see if I can find an example here. So I guess this will be the next. Trying to see if I could find an example here. So maybe something like this. So are the entries, what entries are you basing them off, Patrick? Are you just looking at the previous lows? So I can kind of see what you're referring to right here. Like say, for example, if we had one right here, and then we look back at the previous lows. So yeah, it's 2B1s right here. It might be better on a higher time frame though, because it's just so still a little move. But I can see what you referred to right here. So basically, price pushes up to the next area. Unless we go on the higher time frames and look for, a higher high. Go like to the 1 hour. Yeah, I guess this could be really useful if you go on the higher time frames to look for the next target areas. But yeah, no, definitely good catch there, Patrick. We'll probably look at that later. But yeah, back to the charts over here. Price broke below, and it's now rejecting off the sessions, or really close to it at least. Yeah, Patrick said, yeah, sometimes it won't hit the next liquidity if it's too far, but we definitely get at least 10 plus pips. Yeah, no, definitely, Patrick. That's good. It's good to know. All right, so price is now dropping below here. There's no entry for us to take right now at the moment. See, B just sent over profits. B said took a late entry and got stopped out. Wish I didn't close that last trade. I know it came all the way back down, right? Yeah, so B over here took quite a big loss, but big wins over here. If you held on to it, yeah, it would have came back down. Looks like from 633. Yeah, 633 right here would have been a huge drop. Pulled up about 500 pips and dropped double, if not triple that. I think that's it for right now. Tasha over here said playing around with MT4 desktop. Used to train on her phone. Lost it because I have no idea how to trade on the desktop, but I got to start somewhere. So Tasha over here is trying to test out the desktop version of MT4, locking a total profit of 221. Nice work, Tasha. All right, but still no entries here off the 1 minute. What I'm looking for here is because we have, actually there's no, so there's two highs here that don't overlap, but there's no variation in between. They're just two engulfing. So we have one here, which is a engulfing, and then right here another engulfing, but no variation. We typically want one variation and one engulfing or two variations. Maybe we'll get one right here. Yeah, Patrick said like the last low high came off with two higher highs for a sell, went for the next two liquidity zones. Yeah, no, that's basically what I'm doing for that's basically what I'm doing with the 10 minute. The 1 minute is a bit more choppier, so you're not going to get as many, like you have to look for actual patterns here on the 1 minute because it's such a smaller move. But looking on the 10 minute, that's basically what I'm applying with these entries over here, Patrick. So like, for example, for this buy right here, I'm just looking for a continuation, right? It's basically it's a trend continuation. I'm looking for the low here and the previous low, but I'm not looking for an actual pattern. I'm just looking to make sure that the lows here don't overlap. And yeah, like you said. So for example, right here, I'm going for 500 pips, basically a fixed TP stop loss. It's the same thing that you identified. It basically is going for the next high right here, but I just go for a bigger target because it does reach that point. Yeah, no, Patrick said, yeah, the 10 minute is definitely smoother. And I agree. That's why for this specific strategy, I applied on the 10 minute. If the market continues to be super choppy, we might just have to get away from the 1 minute because the choppiness right here is just, it's just too much of a mess, right? Because we're going to be staring at the charts for like hours and not find any entry here. But on the 10 minute, I mean, we can just check on it every couple so often and find entries. But for this strategy right here, you guys can see that it's basically there's a time restriction on it. So basically, I don't trade this, and this is based off my own schedule. Basically, I just blocked off times where I'm sleeping or I'm not on the chart. So like 12 a.m. to 5 a.m. I'm asleep during that period, right? So I don't take trades during that period, and this is where my back test came in handy. I did back test it where I took every single trade. So for June, I back tested pretty much every entry using the strategy without any time restriction. It was a 59% win rate, 16 wins out of 27 trades. But when I put the time restriction here, that win rate went up to 75 or 76%. So it's a big difference going from 59% win rate to 76% win rate. So, you know, better, lesser is sometimes better if you can identify, you know, which ones to avoid. So that's why I have one of these right here. Well, that's why I have the time restrictions. Let's see. Maddie said high-low reversal. But this one right here, right? Man, I've been testing so many strategies. I can't even remember what the high-low reversal is. Let me go see if I can find it real quick. Oh, the engulfing. Okay. Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay. I got you. Yeah. So Maddie identified this right here as a high-low reversal, which, yeah, I did hit full TP right there. Pretty solid. And I've been like coming up with a lot of different well, these are really just, they're the same strategies we've been applying. They're just different requirements. But yeah, I mean, if you took that right there, Maddie, nice. I didn't catch it. Um, Basically, for a lot of these 1 minute strategies, you can use that same look back feature, or not really feature, look back um, strategy that I use. So like basically, whenever you see a sell entry right here, just look back at the previous ones. So like if you saw this right here, like what Patrick was looking at, you're looking at highs that don't overlap or lows that don't overlap. On the 1 minute, I think it's better to look for certain entries or basically continuations of strategies. I mean, as you guys can see, there's no linear way of learning how to trade, right? There's like so many different confluences that you guys can use. Um, I mean, during the mentoring session, I'll show you guys, like I literally base all my strategies off these momentum signals. So let me see if I can go to a clean chart over here. Like this is how I create strategies. Literally, I start with just the momentum signals. Because if you guys look at the momentum signals right here, whenever you get a momentum signal, this is always a catalyst, right? So like looking at this right here, we have a sell signal, right? Price is going to go one way or the other. It's either going to go in that direction or it's going to go opposite. So like you can take a buy or a sell and you'll have like a 50% chance of winning. This is where you add on another confluence, right? So like, for example, I'll start off with the momentum signal. And then from there, I'll add on the trend meter. So I'm like, okay, this is green down here, but the momentum signal is red. This can really go either way. It can go up or it can go down. And that's how I create the strategy, or create strategies out of these indicators. The momentum signal is always going to be the catalyst. And then in order for me to confirm things, like for example here, if this is a sell signal and price goes up, I'm looking at the trend meter. Okay, the trend meter is green, so this is probably going to push up. I'm going to look at the high lows, right? And this is where I use the look back feature. So I look at this, and then I look at these two lows right here that don't overlap. So odds of this going up are likely, right? So like, for example, if I want to take something like this, and then we take it for a quick 300 pips, it works. So, and you guys can do this on any time frame. This is basically how I figured out the strategy on the 10 minute as well. You know, I use the momentum as the catalyst. This is basically tells you what entry to take. So like, for example, here, it's the same thing. I'm doing the same exact thing. I see a buy signal here. Price will either go up or it'll go down, right? It's going to go one way or the other. It's a momentum signal. So when you see something like that, it's going to tell you it's going to go one way or the other. If I see this here, I add the trend meter. Okay, this is green, this is green. It's probably going to go up. I add the pivots. Oh, this is above the pivots. Okay, this is probably going to go up. I'm looking at the high lows. These two lows over here don't overlap. It's like 4 confluences right there. So basically, I went from like 1 confluence here, momentum. I add the trend meter. There's 1 more confluence, 2 confluences. I add the pivots. It's 3 confluences. I add the high lows. That's 4 confluences, right? You have 4 confluences indicating price is going to go up. Odds are it's probably going to go up. The only thing you need to figure out is the fixed TP stop loss, which is 500 pips. So that's how I come up with these strategies. It's not that difficult. It's really just using logic. You just use a catalyst to identify when to make an entry, and then you use extra confluences to identify, the probability of the trade. If you have more confluences, the better. Less confluences, the worse. Like obviously, I would not take a sell here because everything's telling me to take a buy. And this is me not using any bias, not using any news, not using anything really. It's just It's just using logic with what you have on the chart. Akil is asking, what do you mean about lows that are not overlapping? So what I mean by that is that it's exactly what I mean by it. So like, see how there's low here? They don't overlap because this low just goes higher. So this low goes over here. There's no low that's down here, so it doesn't overlap. This is a low that goes higher. This is a low that goes higher. This is a low that goes higher, higher. There's no overlapping, right? Because price doesn't come back below it. This doesn't overlap. This doesn't overlap. This doesn't. But this right here does overlap because the low is right here and prices overlap the low. See? And this is just a trend continuation. So you're just using different things here to identify trend continuation, right? You can use the trend meter, you can use the pivot, you can use whatever you want, but using this is just to help you identify price action, right? Because if you see something here, like if you see these lows not overlapping, odds are price is going to continue up. It just helps you identify, you know, where the trend is going, right? So this is, I mean, a quick, like, I guess, Cliff Notes version of like how I create strategies. It's not very difficult. The momentum indicator is the most important indicator, right? Because just by looking at this, you can see that it's a catalyst. Whenever you get an entry or whenever you get a signal, you know, price is going to go up or it's going to go down, one or the other. You just have to tie 2 and 2 together, and then you add on more confluences. And you can do this on any time frame. You know, you go to the 1 hour, it's the same thing. You get a buy signal right here. Price is going to go up or it's going to go down. You add the trend meter, you add the pivots, you add the high-low. It's like literally the same exact strategy. I'll turn off the pivots right here. You can see here that the lows don't overlap. And what happens from this point? Price goes up. And then at this point, you just have to figure out what your TP stop loss would be. It's probably 1,000 pips for the 1 hour. So like if you guys have access to the K2 indicators and you guys want to create your own strategy, your baseline should always be the momentum indicator because this stuff doesn't repaint. The problem with the high lows here is that it repaints sometimes, right? Like say for example, and I'm just going to show you right here. This is why the variations are a bit risky. The variations do work, but they are risky because they repaint. So for example, right here, you can see that there's a low. But if the next candle goes lower, this is going to disappear. See how this one disappeared? Because it repaints. That's why this isn't a good indicator to use for your baseline. You can use this for a confluence, but not for your baseline. If you look over here to the momentum indicator, once the momentum is closed, it doesn't repaint. It doesn't matter how high it goes or how low it goes. So for example, right here, we have a sell signal. I'm going to circle this right here so that you guys can see. We move it forward. It doesn't disappear, right? So you can use this because this is never going to change. You guys can see that once it's on the chart, it doesn't go anywhere. So that's why you can base the strategy off the momentum. Momentum is going to be the #1 indicator to use when identifying these entry points because it doesn't change. So like you can literally go back as far as you want. Like you can go back to like February and this signal here doesn't change. So if you use this as your catalyst, you can identify like the trend meter here, right? The trend meter even changes itself. So if you look back, the trend meter will change. Sometimes if the candle hasn't closed yet, the pivots here as well, this can change as well. So whenever you guys are looking for any strategies, or if you guys are looking to make your own strategy better, use the momentum here as the catalyst. And again, right here, same thing that I was just referring to earlier. You have a sell signal, or this is probably not a good example. Or actually, no, this is a good example too. It was what I was showing you guys before. So like, for example, you get a sell signal and then the high is a red candle. So you can see this is red and this is red. Odds are this is probably going to push down, you know, a certain amount. Probably a little more. I don't know. You just got to figure out the sweet spot would be on the 1 hour. And it goes down like that. I don't trade on the 1 hour, so I can't really tell you. But on the 10-minute, I figured out that the Sweet spot is about 500 pips. But all right, there's still nothing going on in the 1 minute. So if you guys want me to go over more of that strategy building with you guys, because you guys can really put together any type of strategy you want. It's just putting these indicators together. So if you use the momentum indicator as your main indicator, and then you just add whatever indicator you want to it, that'll be your extra confluence. So let me see if there's anything else here. There's nothing that's come up on the 1. It's still ranging. So that's why I kind of went off on a tangent there, because there's not really much for us to do anyways. Price is just going sideways. It's 7:30 right now. So if you guys have any questions or want me to cover anything specific, just let me know. I'm still looking for entries here, but there just isn't anything for me to take at the moment. I was going to look for a sell entry here, but this didn't close as a valid sell. So if this closed right here as a valid sell, I probably would have taken this trade here. And the reason for that is because I have this high right here. You see if it overlaps with this one. Actually, never mind. It overlaps, unfortunately. Oh yeah. The Maddie said the high-low rejection here, but for the high-low rejection, I think we need a pending momentum, right? So I don't think we'd be able to, or unless you're talking about the sell right here. So I think you're probably talking about the sell right here, Maddie, right? Because there was a high-low rejection right here. Or no, there wasn't actually. It has to be off the, it would have to be before it. Miriam said with these engulfing candles, could this be a reversal happening? Yeah, no, possibly. Well, this would probably be a good one right here because there was a pending momentum. Typically, when you guys are looking for these reversals, you want to look for a pending momentum because that pending momentum is going to help you push to your TP. So there was not one right here. There was one right here. So like, here's a engulfing right there for the high-low reversal strategy, pending sell. So this is one that actually would have applied. And it looks like it would have hit too. So like this one right here, there is a engulfing. And it's a pending momentum for a sell. I think this is the one that Maddie took earlier and he called out. So this one right here would have been one. And there you go, it hits full TP. I don't think there was another one here. There's actually another one right here. It's another engulfing with the pending sell. Another full TP right there. Yeah, so there was another one right there too. But just keep this in mind, guys. These engulfing, like this strategy right here, I was going to use it as standalone, but it's super risky, in my opinion, because this strategy is based off the high lows. So if you guys remembered from earlier, I mentioned that the high lows they repaint. So these strategies are actually really risky. I would mostly want to use the momentum signals as a catalyst. You know, the thing with this is that we start to see a lot of patterns off these high lows, but realistically, the better catalyst would be the momentum indicator because it's going to it doesn't repaint. Like once it's on the chart, you like if you were to backtest any strategy with the momentum indicator, you would get a sample that is like undeniable because the thing that never changes as long as you wait for it to close. The whatever backtest you run, and if it's based off the momentum indicator, it'll be a very accurate backtest. The thing with the high lows here is that you can see a lot of entries. Like for example, right here, there was like another high low entry that I saw earlier. What was it? So there was one here that disappeared. Was it this one right here? I think it was this one right here. Yeah, so this one right here, right? Like I identified this real time when it was happening, right? But if you were to go back and back test, because there's a high low, there's a high right here. If you go back or you go forward, it's not there anymore. It disappeared. So using the high lows as your catalyst isn't necessarily the best option. My COVID went away, but I'm still kind of sick, which is annoying. It's just like a lingering cold, but I did test negative for COVID on Friday, thankfully. So I'm no longer have COVID, but I'm still kind of sick with these allergies. B said done for the day. Thanks, Sean. Have a greasy day, guys. Definitely B. So we'll see you tomorrow. Back to the 1 minute. There's nothing really going on here, guys. I'm looking for a possible entry, but there's not really much for us to take right here. There might be, okay, so this might be an intraday entry, or not entry, a pivot scalp entry if it closes above the pivots right here. So what I'm looking for is for price to close above the pivots over here. If it closes above the pivots, then we might have, you know, a possible entry for pivot scalp. So looking back at these previous lows over here, we have a V3, and we also have a engulfing right here. Actually, there's two V3s. All right, so it hasn't closed yet. We're looking for this buy signal to close above this red line. If it does, then this will be a pivot scalp entry. We also have a confirmation over here. There's two variations back to back, which will indicate that price is likely to push up higher. We need this buy signal here to close above this red line. If it does it, then there's not going to be an entry for a pivot scalp. It's got to be a clear close too. It can't be like on the line or too close to it. It has to be like somewhere above here. So basically, you're just waiting for this to close above this red line, but it has to be like pretty high. It can't be like a maybe. It's gonna have to be like above it. It's too close. Yeah. So this right here didn't close above the red line. It's not a pivot scalp entry, nor is it an intraday entry. So unfortunately, no entry right there. So 1 minute chart's starting to be a little annoying because so this might come down a little bit. It was also a news price too, so it probably wasn't going to be a good entry for us to take. If you guys are, sorry, 1 second. So if you guys are wondering what the pivot scalp strategy is, if you guys are not familiar with it, it's right here. So we can't confirm overall bias because there is no retail sentiment. So we just pretty much skip that for today or for now. You're confirming a valid K2 momentum signal. This is a valid buy signal. You want to confirm price is above for a buy. It's not above it. So this doesn't qualify as an entry for the pivot scalp. But that's what I was looking for. I was looking to take this strategy right here. I used the look back feature over here to identify the confirmation that price is likely to push up higher. It did confirm, but it didn't fit the requirements here, so there's no entry off that. There is a pivot scalp for a sell right here, but the look back over here doesn't satisfy the requirements because we need two highs that don't overlap, right? So this one over here overlaps. Not to say that it won't hit, but you know, if you want to follow the entry, you want to make sure that this here applies as well. So if it does close here for a sell, I'm not going to be taking it. We could follow it, but I'm probably not going to take it. So looking at this right here, I mean, this could possibly be a decent entry because the most recent high here is a V1. So it's giving you some sort of confirmation, but it's really just ranging. So the reason why you're looking for the overlap is so that you can confirm that it's going to continue pushing that direction for trend continuation. right here, these two overlap. So no. And there was a V1 right there, just like what Maddie mentioned. So V1 right there, looks like it already hit TP. Yeah. I'll keep looking back for any other confirmations, guys, but there's like, I mean, there's a lot of different things that you guys can use when looking back. Like just looking back to see if there's like previous V1s or any types of previous V3s that V1s or V3s that show up on the look back. So like, for example, this V1 over here, if you look back, the previous high lows are like two different variations. There's a V3 here and there's a V3 here. I noticed that if you look back and there's two different variations that have hit, typically the third one will hit as well, which you did right here. But that's something that needs to be further back tested. It's just a theory that I started to identify, but not really something that I apply personally. So again, right here, here's another example. We'll see if this actually hits. If it does hit, then maybe that's something that we can look at. So we have a V3 here that's pending. But looking back, there's a V1 right here. There's a V1 and a V3. I'm not taking this trade right here, guys. We're just looking at it. This is another V3 here, but it's going against like a lot of things here. It's going against the trend. It's going against a lot of things here that, and also it's going to be getting caught up right here at the news price as well. But the main thing that I'm looking for is either a pivot scalp entry or a intraday entry. I'm looking for one of these with a look back available as well. Meaning that there's no overlapping higher highs or no overlapping lower lows for sells. But nothing here applies for that, because this right here, even if we're looking for a buy at this point, there's no lower lows that don't overlap because these overlap. This is higher than this one. And then same with the sells. This overlaps with this one. See, Patrick said, nice, Patrick. So Patrick said, done for the day. Last 3 trades using Sean's new wrinkle strategy. It's a nice name for it, Patrick. So Patrick's been applying what I just showed you guys today. You know, this is what's key, guys. If you guys actually pay attention to what I'm like explaining to you guys and you guys use it to your advantage, Patrick over here actually used it. The last 3 trades here hit full TP. He took a sell and then took a buy. He's basically just looking back to the previous entries here, or not necessarily previous entries, but the previous high lows. So great work right there, Patrick. Total profit of 10,467 on that account. Nice work, Patrick. Scotty over here as well, locked in 1,090. Great work, Scotty. Patrick again over here. He said, make that last 4. Definitely done for today. So Patrick's pretty much just applying this. Are you applying it on the 1 minute, Patrick, or are you applying it on a different time frame? I mean, it doesn't really matter because you can apply it on whatever time frame, but I'm just curious if you were applying it on on the 1 minute here. But total profit of 11,460 for the day. He basically just used the explanation that I showed you guys here. He's using the look back at the previous, you know, basically a continuation. Okay, thanks, Patrick. So Patrick's been doing it here on the 1 minute. So basically just looking at his trades right here, he took a sell. He looked back. I could see that, yeah. Sell right here. And then also the buy in this direction. So sell, buy, sell. You know, it's pretty solid. So yeah, Patrick over here is using it, and he's also using the engulfings as well. Pretty solid. So nice work, Patrick. You know, I just explained this to you guys right now, and Patrick took advantage of it, locked in some pretty good profit. So great work right there, Patrick. Scotty again over here took another buy. locking a total profit of 1,587. So he took that buy right there off the V3. It looks like this one. Nice work, Scotty. What else do we have here? Patricia over here, locking a total profit of 2,368. Nice work, Patricia. This is off her other account, so great work there. And I think that's it for right now. Yeah, if you guys have more profits to post up, feel free. Otherwise, I mean, price has just been ranging right now this whole time. So there really isn't much for us to take. But yeah, I mean, if you guys want to go back and use what Patrick's been using, you guys can just scroll up in the chat over here. Patrick pretty much put out what he was looking at. So if you scroll up over here, Patrick said, yeah, basically, if he sees two, or basically just two overlapping highs, he typically can ride this to the next high low, or the next. So like here's an example right here. I'm just going to show you what Patrick was kind of looking at. Let me go over here to a clean chart. So Patrick was applying this on the on the 1 minute. I'm just going to show you an example of like what he was kind of referring to here, just so that you guys have a better idea as to like what's being. So basically what Patrick is looking for, he's looking for this. The lows that don't overlap. This will identify trend. And the areas that he's looking to ride these to, or possibly take this move up to, would be like the next high, right? This high already has been broken. There's no highs in between. So you can see right there, it pushes up to that next point. I mean, it goes both ways. Same with like this right here, right? So he's looking for basically the higher, the highs here not to overlap. I mean, obviously you'll use a sell signal as a catalyst, but pretty much ride this to the next low right there, right? Like that. But yeah, I mean, this is something that you guys can use to your own advantage, right? Just figure out like how it works, which base everything off the momentum signal and then use the high lows as confluence. That's basically what I'm trying to get across to you guys. So right here, this is an intraday entry and a pivot scalp that I was actually looking for, but it's right at the sessions, which is not going to be a good move for me or for us really. I was hoping this would come up and there wouldn't be a sessions right there, but there is. So if that sell signal closed, you look back and it's the same thing Patrick was applying, right? These two highs over here don't overlap. So odds of it pushing down are going to be very likely. The only problem is that it's right at the sessions right here. Actually didn't close yet. Yeah, it hasn't closed yet. So basically at this point, you're just making sure that there's no highs that come above this point here. If there's no highs that come above this point and get a sell signal, it's probably going to push down at least enough to hit its TP at this point. But we don't have that yet. This is also another strategy that, yeah, I think you just rejoined the room, Akil. That's what I mentioned about the sessions. Yeah, because Akil's asking what about sessions. I think you left and you just joined the room right now, because that's exactly what I was saying earlier. So this right here, we had a sell signal that was pending. I said this would have been good if there was no sessions right there. So that's why I wasn't going to take it. But this right here, it looks like, yeah, no, it's fine. I only know because I saw you re-enter the room. You just missed like earlier what I was mentioning. So again, right here, this is another intraday entry. It's an intraday and pivot scalp. I'm gonna follow it, but I'm not gonna take it because it's so close to the sessions right here. Or maybe I will. We'll see how far is it when it closes. If I do take it, I'll let you guys know, but it's just a bit risky because it's so close to the sessions. But this is enough to hit its TP before actually getting to that point. I don't know if C6's here. No, C6's not here right now. Yeah, so the thing with this right here, this is another strategy that C6 that applies. He basically looks for the same thing that we're looking for, the highs that don't overlap. Like basically he looks for a strong trend. When he finds a strong trend like this, he looks for a wick rejection of like the third or second pivot right here. Or he just looks for price to come up and then he just takes a quick sell whenever price rejects off these pivots. I don't apply it that way, but this is one that that C6 specifically applies. I don't recommend applying these strategies unless you guys know what you're doing. I don't even do this myself, but C6 does. So whenever people show me strategies, I'll try to give you guys like little insights into like what people apply. Because you guys have seen C6 profits as well. He does lock in some pretty heavy profits, kind of similar to like how Kevin locks in some heavy profits as well. So like C6 over here, right? Like 24K. He'll have losses here and there, but he's looking for these quick little pushes. He looks for the trend and then he catches little rejections off these pivots. Yeah, pivot. Tody said pivot scalp and range is very dangerous. Most of the time it's a loss. And I agree too, Tody. That's why I personally don't use it. I like to use the momentum as a catalyst. So I'm still waiting for this to close. It's 7:50 right now, so it's getting close to 8 o'clock. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put your questions in the chat. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like this thing here is going to close. If it does close, then maybe I'll take it for quick 100 pips or so. It still fits the requirements. It hasn't swung up just yet, but it also doesn't look like we're getting that sell signal yet either. I feel like this is gonna close like when I just take my eyes off it for like 1 second. So if it closes, maybe I'll take it. No. It's gotta be pretty clear if it closes. Yeah, no, Dell said C6 is a GOAT. His consistency is legendary. Yeah, I mean, you guys will see C6 profits here. He doesn't post them in the group, but he does send them to me. So you guys can see C6 does pretty well. He's like, 19,000 the other day. He does pretty good. He just doesn't post in the group because he doesn't want people bugging him. So, I mean, he's just like focused in his own lane. This is what I always try to tell you guys. Like, if you guys could just focus and stay in your own lane, not worry about what Kevin's doing, don't worry about what C6's doing, don't worry about what the other person's doing. I mean, you guys can do really well. Like you guys remember Kurt in the group, right? Like Kurt was like, basically he said he was losing his trades because Kevin was posting big profits. I don't know where the logic comes in with that, but if you focus on what other people are doing, it's going to affect your trading because you're going to think that you're doing something wrong. So like, that was like what Kurt's excuse was, basically that he was not doing good trading because he felt that because Kevin was posting big profits, it was causing him to lose his trades. So, my advice to you guys is just stay in your own lane, right? Just focus on your own trades, focus on your own analysis. Don't worry about what anyone else is doing. It doesn't matter if they're posting big profits or not, just focus on your account. Because if you guys get too caught up with like what other people are doing and you try to mimic them, but you don't really know what you're doing, you're going to, you're gonna have issues. Yeah, Tody said, I have a solution for that. I don't look at the chat for other guys' profits. Yeah, exactly, Tody. So Tody stays in his own lane, right? He knows what he's focused on, getting his own trading better rather than trying to figure out what someone else is doing and trying to mimic it. because the way that a lot of people trade is a bit more advanced. Like the way that Kevin trades, I don't trade that way because it's very risky, but it works for him, which is great. If it works for you, then do it. But you guys can't do exactly what everyone else is doing. For me, I try to keep these strategies as simple as possible so that you guys can apply it. So you guys can mimic what I'm doing because I give you guys the breakdown of like how everything's applied. But if other people are using strategies that aren't necessarily mimicable, then it's not going to end well. Yeah, Dell said worst thing you can do in this is compare. It will psych you. It'll psych you out. Yeah, and I agree too, Dell. Definitely agree with you. So even though people are posting a lot of profits, guys, like it's cool to like look at people's profits and then be inspired by it, but don't get caught up in trying to copy what they're doing, right? Because I'll tell you, you're probably gonna make a lot of mistakes trying to figure out what they've been applying. So right here, maybe a pivot scalp. It looks like volatility is just super dead right now. It still hasn't broken. We just got to make sure it doesn't get past this point. If it gets past this point, then it's pretty much game over at that point. There's not going to be a lower. The lows are going to overlap if that becomes the case. So we'll see if this candle over here overlaps. Looks like it's going to. Yeah. So this low here is overlapped now. Actually, no. It could still work because it hasn't overlapped on this one yet. But I mean, either way, price is just ranging. So there's not, and even if we wanted to take a sell here, there's nothing for us to take because the price is just ranging. You want price to be actually be directional. So I'm not looking to take any trades here, guys. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put in the chat. It's 7:55 right now. So it's getting close to my time to sign off. So here's the thing, guys. If the market is actually trending, like sometime this week, like say it hits 8 o'clock and market is still trending, I'll stay on live with you guys. Right now, there just isn't anything for us to take because price is just going sideways. For that strategy that I was showing you guys, basically the pivot scalp or intraday entry, for my back test, the strategy works fine until 11 o'clock. So right now it's only 8. I can technically stay on here and wait for an entry, but I don't see anything coming soon because price is just ranging. If price was going directional, like if it was going up or it was going down, then yeah, I would probably stay on for like maybe another 30 minutes or an hour to wait for like one entry because the entry does come eventually. It just takes some time. But right now, I don't see anything happening. It looks like it's just going to go sideways for like the next 2 hours, which is not worth the wait. I'd probably just wait for something here on the 10. I think the 10 here would be better because the market's not really doing much. So I'd probably wait because you can see here, it's even more clear on the 10 that price is ranging. Right, like you can obviously see it right here. It's not doing anything. I'd probably be looking for another entry for this and then just go for 500 pips, take it with a 10 lot, lock in another 5K, and then call it a day from there. But yeah, there just isn't anything for us to take at the moment. Yeah, no, Dell said the worst thing you can do is compare yourself to someone else. It'll make you question everything you know. Yeah, exactly. And I agree with you too, Dell. All right, Akil, we'll see you tomorrow. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Otherwise, today we are moving our mentoring session to tomorrow due to like a couple members here who can't make it today. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to put in the chat right now. Otherwise, the market is just going sideways, so it's not really a good time to trade. As you guys can see, there's nothing for us to take. Also, these lows here, so the lows overlap now. So even if we were looking for that sell, we're not going to have an entry because this low here is overlapped with this one. This one's higher. So if we get a sell here, there's not going to be anything for us to take. Vice versa, if you're looking for a buy here, then there might be something to take. There's no buy signal yet. There's currently a buy one running right now. But now the lows over here are confirming. So it looks like price might be shifting to the upside. Yeah, I think that's it, guys. If you guys have any questions, feel free to email me, message me on Telegram. If you guys have more profit to send in, feel free to post them up in any of the groups. I will add them to the list of profits to be posted today. But yeah, just a reminder, guys. So I'll be going over this during the mentoring session. I don't want to waste too much time on it here because I know not everyone's here. But during the next mentoring session, I will go over this strategy in detail. This is a really good strategy. If you guys want to find something that's very simple and it's literally a set and forget. You just wait for a perfect entry. I mean, there's not even a perfect entry. It's just waiting for the, here, I'll just show you guys another example here. I'll go to like a random time. And I just want to make sure that, not really random, but it still has to fit within the parameters. So, all right, so here's one right. No, actually, that's not one. Okay, so here's one right here. I don't think the time parameter is fit for this, but as I mentioned, it does work. I mean, it works through like, where's the strategy? It's not even here. Where's this? I thought I saved it. Well, whatever. Let me just go back real quick. I'll show you guys one more example for this 10 minutes. Because I think this 10 minutes is probably going to be the best strategy for a lot of people to apply, especially if you guys are not good at the one. If you guys don't like the 1 minute, which is a lot of you guys, the 10-minute here is, this is a really safe strategy to apply. So let me put the requirements here again. Okay. So you're going to identify an intraday entry right here is a green momentum signal with the trend meter green. That's going to be requirement number one. Second, identify two previous high lows, confirm a variation and or an engulfing. So for this right here, a lot of the time it's not really going to be that necessary because if you look back, it's going to apply either one. I mean, it's like automatic. So the first thing to look for is to just identify the previous lows, right? Make sure that they don't overlap. And then if you look at it, it's more times than not, it's going to already be there. So like, for example, there's an engulfing right here, and this is a V3. So with that said, you have a long position right here. You take it for a fixed TP stop loss of 500 pips. You let it run and full TP right there. So it's not a very difficult strategy. It's actually really easy. It's actually too easy, I think, in some aspects. There's going to be certain times where you shouldn't trade. Like for example, I see one right here, but this is not going to be an entry. The reason why I can tell it's not an entry because of the timestamp right here. It's at 1350. So this is when the market closes for the swap. You can see it jumps from 1350 to 1500. So this right here wouldn't be a good entry. It wouldn't fit under the time requirement right here. I don't know if there's another example here to show you guys. So if you guys want to go back and test this yourself, I mean, just go back and rewatch the replay for today's live session. But I'll go over this more in detail during the mentoring session. So again, right here, another one. There is a sell signal, trend meter's red. This indicates a valid intraday entry. There's a high here, doesn't overlap with this one. This is a V1. This is an engulfing. Short position right here. Fixed TP stop loss, 500 pips. Full TP. So it's a really simple strategy. It's basically like you'll take it and you just let it run. I mean, it'll take some time for it to hit. Like for example, this right here took about 20 or 30 minutes to hit, but eventually does hit. So Here, let's see. Tony said, Sean, did you test it on other pairs except US30? No, I just tested on US30. So if you want to test it on other pairs, you can. I've only used it on US30. I think I'm just going to stick to US30, guys, because I don't want the same issue to happen as last week where I traded gold and I ended up losing all my MFF counts. It just becomes an issue when you have to worry about lot sizing, right? For US30, I already have a set lot size. I can just use the same lot size for everything, and it's perfectly fine. So most of the strategies here that I'm going to be testing are all going to be for US30. I'm not really going to, that's the whole reason I'm looking for an intraday strategy for US30, right? Because the thing is, I was looking for intraday strategies on forex, which I'm pretty sure this will probably work on forex as well, but I'm just going to stick to US30. So yeah, exactly. John said when you switch asset, the lot size gets all messed up, and I agree. That's why I don't want to risk it again, because if I don't want to have another issue and then I end up screwing it up. So yeah, there was an intraday entry right here, as Maddie mentioned on the 1 minute, but the look back confluence doesn't apply. So we have this low and this low here overlap. This was the entry that we were actually looking for. If this here didn't overlap, I would have taken this for a sell, but it didn't fit the requirements. So, all right, guys, I think that's it. It's past 8. I don't want to have to force any trades here. I know staring at the charts past 8, this, it creates some FOMO, makes you guys want to take a trade that's not really there. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to email me or message me on Telegram. Otherwise, we'll be back here tomorrow for the next live session and for the mentoring session tomorrow as well, where we'll go over this in detail. I'll go over like a ton of examples for this just to show you guys. I mean, I can literally just pull up any entry here and I can show you guys another example. It's not that difficult to apply. Like this one again right here. High, take the sell here. I can literally just go through this, and I think we'll spend that whole session pretty much just going over examples so that you guys can see, but it's not really that difficult. It's super simple. We'll TP off that. I mean, really what you're looking for is you're just looking for these to match up. You're looking for the trend meter here to match the momentum. And then from there, you can make your adjustments to, however you want to apply the strategy. So, all right, guys, if you guys have questions, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, I think this is it. I will see you guys. Yeah, Tony said it hits TP. Which one are you looking at, Eddie? On the 1? Okay, yeah, you guys are looking on the 1 minute. Yeah. All right, guys, if you guys want to keep looking at it, feel free. Otherwise, I'm going to log off for now, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for the next live session. Otherwise, if you guys have questions, post them in the chat. I'll be on for a bit. But till then, I will see you guys tomorrow morning. So have a great rest of the morning, guys, and I will see you guys tomorrow.